Hi, and welcome to Inside Athletics. I'm your host, Brandon Thomas. Joining me today is newcomer to Thibodeau, Coach Robert Podeyn, head soccer coach of the Nicholls soccer team. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well, doing well. Glad to be here and enjoying the time that I've been here. Other than maybe the evacuation and being displaced by Hurricane Ida because she was a little cranky, but definitely enjoying my time.
So, Coach, can you just kind of take me through your journey as a coach to coming to Thibodeau?
Journey. Well, how long is this show?
We have time. We have time.
I've coached for 35 years. College game for this is my 23rd year. Started out as a volunteer at University of Central Florida back in I think 93 to 96. Then I was coaching youth and working in club. Actually, I was working on the state staff and had the opportunity to work with our U17 women's national team. So I trained their goalkeepers in 2001, helping them get ready for the World Cup. So I got to work with goalkeepers like Ashlyn Harris. Then it kind of got to the point where you either stay on the club side and you focus there, you kind of become a director, or you go into the college game.
Okay.
So went into the college game. I started at a university called William Woods University in Missouri. Then did that for 4 years, coaching men and women. Then went to Texas, and I coached at a program there called Northwood University. Then back to Missouri at Southwest Baptist University, which was a Division II program. And then I was in California at Fresno Pacific University when Nicholls State University called me up and said, hey, would you be interested in talking with us? And so went through the process that way, and here I am.
Just take me through that process of getting that phone call from JT, about coming down to Thibodeau and him selling you on the atmosphere and the environment that is South Louisiana.
Well, that was what I was most impressed with was JT. I think I had actually said no a couple times. Just didn't kind of feel right, didn't fit. But they wanted me to come out and talk with them, and so I came out and met with Andrew and met with JT, and I was very impressed with the people, especially with JT. When I kind of did my research and I looked at YouTube online and I saw his kind of introductory video where he kind of spoke to the crowd and everything, I could feel that energy and that passion. And I looked at that as far as that's somebody I could kind of get behind and work for. And so I just felt like he has a genuine desire to see all athletics succeed. And, that's what I wanted to be a part of at that point. So when I came out, met with him, met with Andrew, met with a lot of the other folks here, and I saw what I felt was the potential. I didn't look at the program for what it is. I looked at it for what it was going to be or what it could be. And so that's what kind of attracted me to it, and went home, and they called me 4 days later, and my wife and I were on a conference call with JT and Andrew, and at that point it was like, hey, we're laying the cards on the table. This is what we want, and we want you guys here. And so it just worked out, and it kind of felt right. My wife and I just kind of looked at it and said, yeah, let's do it.
Well, that's great, Coach. In addition to being tenured as a coach, you're also an established author. Just talk to me about some of the books you've written and that whole process of getting published as a coach.
Well, I never planned on writing one book, much less six. It just kind of started where a gentleman named Mike Safe, English guy who owns a company called World Class Coaching. I used to put on a showcase in Florida, and he brought his team, and his team was a national champion team at under 15s at the time. So I knew Mike for a while, for a long time, and he knew I had a relationship where I had worked for Ajax in Holland and done some stuff there. So he kind of reached out to me and said, hey, do you have any of your stuff from when you kind of went to Ajax and you did some stuff with Ajax? Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, yeah. I said, I used some things where with my current team. So he's like, send it to me. And I said, okay. So I sent it to him. He looked it over. He said, okay. He says, I want you to do this, this, and this. I said, okay, what are we doing? He said, well, we're going to make it a book. Okay. And don't put too many drills in it. Just put a few, but do more explanations. So I'm like, okay. So then I got through putting everything together the way that he was looking for, and that turned into Coaching the Dutch 4-3-3, which was my first book. Okay. So then he comes back and he said, okay, let's do a drills book now, but don't put any goalkeeping in it. So I said, okay, I see where you're going with this. Now it's going to be a separate goalkeeping book on top of that.
Right.
So I did Dutch drills for total team training, and then he came back to me and said, now we'll do a goalkeeping book. And about that time, he wanted me to go with him to Brazil to work with the U17 boys Brazilian national team over there, and then also with a club in Belo Horizonte, which is kind of in the middle of Brazil, with a club there called Club Atlético Mineiro. So one of the bigger clubs that's in that state. So we went over there and did the goalkeeping book, and so he had me write a journal on the experience, and then he actually paid for me to go to Italy and work with Fiorentina, and I wrote a journal about that. And so then I was like, I'm kind of one-dimensional. I'd like to write a different kind of book. Talked to him about it. He said, okay, let's do it. So then I wrote another book, which was three-dimensional soccer training. And then I kind of felt like, well, I'd like to see something more on the triangle midfield. That's kind of my specialty. So I contacted him and said, let's do a book on the triangle midfield. And he said, yeah, it sounds great. So I did a separate book on that. Then he came back to me and he wanted me to do an advanced book on the 4-3-3, because the first book was more of kind of an intro. So I did an advanced coaching the advanced Dutch 4-3-3 book. And so that was kind of that one. He's got me working on another project now where I'm writing a curriculum for directors of coaching, where it's a 7v7 curriculum, 9v9 curriculum, and then the 11v11 will actually be broken into 3 separate books. And so I've completed the 7v7 and the 9v9. He wants me to do 3 more on the 11v11 to do kind of like a total curriculum package for a director that has a club that plays a 4-3-3.
Well, guys, you just got an Inside Athletics exclusive. Coach Podeyn is coming out with his next book about the different schemes and stuff that go along with soccer. But Coach, like, in addition to telling me about your books, in that you mentioned a lot about how you traveled. You kind of subtly mentioned how you've been all over the country and in the world and everything like that. So you actually have a lot of players that are international.
We do. There are 3 that when I came here, they were part of the team already. One was a freshman that came in from Canada, Sanabath, and then there were 2 here that were accomplished players, in Esther Harderdottir and Tabea Czech. And so, those 2 were already here. Sana's come in this year. We'll look to bring in a few more next year as well to kind of give us a little bit more maturity and experience.
Well, Coach, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the situation. Your soccer club is sitting at 0-12.
Correct.
So, you're known to turn around different programs and things like that. Just talk about what goes on off the field with the players and trying to get them connected before you get on the field, before you play a match.
Well, the big thing when you take over a program, the first year is always the hardest. Because you're kind of dealing with, as I say, the hand that you're dealt and what's there. You've got to make them the best they can be, and you've got to start kind of building the culture and the tradition and the foundation for the program moving forward. It's no matter what you do, you're going to have that group of players here again. Even when you bring in additional players. So they have to set the culture and the standards for what the program is like. They get me for a year, and so I'm here to kind of help build them and develop them. So I'm going to make them the best they can be, while at the same point trying to make us a stronger team as far as chemistry, unity, and developing that culture and that tradition within the program, teaching them how to win even though we're not winning now.
You talk about culture and tradition. You kind of alluded back to it earlier in the show about the big thing that's going on down here, Hurricane Ida. Can you just talk about playing matches during the aftermath of the hurricane and everything like that, and that whole kind of experience?
Well, it was an interesting adjustment to come in, because I came in late July. I had 5 days to get ready for preseason. And I had a lot of work to do to get things organized over in the soccer complex. It wasn't in the shape that I wanted it to be in. So we kind of had to get things organized, see where we were, things we needed, and we had a very short turnaround time to do that. And then getting everything prepared as far as the curriculum we were going to follow with the players and kind of going that way. So we did that. We went into preseason. We started getting everything ready. We had our one scrimmage, which was against Southern University, where we actually started the game by scoring and leading in the game. And then I think it was just one of those things where the players just were surprised that, hey, we've never really been in this position.
Right.
And we ended up losing the game 2-1. We gave up 2 goals later on in the game, but they fought back and battled. but they came out of the game saying, Coach, hey, we scored a goal. We feel good about that because we didn't score one last year. They also came out of the game kind of feeling like we could have won that game and maybe we should have won that game.
Right.
It was just one of those things that we didn't know how to handle being in the lead.
Right.
So we started working with that. We went to the Troy tournament, and we played Troy University, which is a very good team out of the Sun Belt Conference. They scored a goal on a penalty kick in the 68th minute, and that's what beat us 1-0. And so kids fought very hard, and they did really well. It was unlucky that we didn't get a chance. Then we had to turn around and play 2 days later against South Alabama, a team that went to the second round of the national tournament the year before.
Experience.
Correct. And they beat us handily a year ago, and they beat us handily this year, but not quite as bad.
Okay.
And so I think the kids came out of that kind of feeling like, okay, we're not South Alabama. Okay, we're not that level. But we certainly are competitive.
Right.
And we can certainly play with the teams that we're capable of playing. And so then we hit a really strong team in southern Mississippi who were very fast, very physical, very athletic, and they kind of rung our clock a little bit, and then the hurricane hit. So probably at the wrong time the hurricane hit, but maybe it was also a blessing because at that point then we had some time to kind of step away, kind of refocus, put things into perspective, especially since we had some players that lost homes.
Right.
And their families lost homes, and so it was kind of a different approach at that point. So when we came back, we were more about, hey, we're a team, we're a family. Let's kind of pull it together, and so we focused on that, and we had some good results. And then we had kind of a bad result when we went to Houston Baptist, and we took some knocks, some injuries that we actually still haven't recovered from. So we were kind of forced to kind of change things around and have a different approach to things to make sure, and that's actually made a very big difference for us. We're still struggling to kind of find that offensive rhythm, but we've only in the last 5 games given up a maximum of 2 goals in a game.
So you're improving.
We're right there. Yeah. So the last 5 games we've given up 9 goals, where I think the previous 5 we gave up 23.
Hey.
So.
Right.
And what I told the players, we talked in the locker room, and I said, okay, I'm not going to promise you we're going to win a game. Said it shouldn't be about that, because if our measuring stick is just the wins and the losses, we're missing something here. And so I said our focus has to be on what are we actually learning, what are we gaining. I said if we don't recognize those things, then we're not going to enjoy this. Right. So we have to find something that we're gaining from this. And they came up with some very good things as far as what they felt they were gaining from the season, and the chemistry was good. We're not arguing on the field now. We're really supporting each other. We work hard, and there's more continuity, more chemistry within the team.
Kind of as a team.
And so we played against McNeese. They're in first place in the conference. Friday, we played against Northwestern State, first place in the conference. Both those teams are tied at 6-1-1.
Right.
We lost to both teams 2-0. Now, against Northwestern, on Friday, we gave up 2 goals in the first half, and then we settled down, and we actually played them pretty even in the second half, created some chances, but we didn't score, and so it ended 2-0.
Right.
Against McNeese on Sunday, and this is a team that was very strong and attacked us. We were lucky we got 1 or 2 shots the first time. We actually came out first half. We were strong against them. We created some chances. And then we started wearing down and got tired. So in the 63rd, 64th minute of the game, we gave up a goal. And about 15 minutes left in the game, we gave up a second goal. So we lost 2-0. But we were right with them until we got to that 65th minute.
So it's not all about the final score that's on the scoreboard. It's about the intricacies of what's happening on the field and the growth that you're seeing from the start of the season till this point now.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of improvement. Players are, it's a great group of young ladies. They work very, very hard. I couldn't be more proud of a team for as hard as they work, and they've shown a lot of improvement. And they want to learn and they want to be better. And they don't want to do it just for themselves. They want to do it for each other. And that's part of that culture and that I'm talking about. We have to create. I always talk to my players about the 4 qualities we have to have,
Mm-hmm.
and that's work ethic, commitment, dedication, loyalty. And when it comes to work ethic, there's a difference between working hard and hard work. Everybody works hard, everybody wants to win, everybody may start the season undefeated,
Right.
but somebody's going to lose. And usually it's the team that hits a threshold and says, I can't do this, where the other team finds a way to push beyond that. So that's the quality we're looking to embody, is finding that hard work to push beyond that threshold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've done it, especially the last 5 games, where they really kind of try to press themselves as hard as they can.
Perfect. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Then after that, we're going to look at some volleyball highlights and then be back with Coach Podeyn. So we're back here. Me and Coach Podeyn still. I think we need to take a little time to check out some volleyball highlights from that rough loss the other night against Incarnate Word. Kind of relating that volleyball to back to soccer, the volleyball team, they were making some great plays, but at the end, they just couldn't stick it out.
Yeah, but Callie's done a tremendous job. She's an amazing person, and she's done a wonderful job with those young ladies on the volleyball team. She's had a great turnaround this season with the program, and not a doubt in my mind, she's going to build that into a strong program.
Kind of relating that back to what we were talking about earlier about your games against Northwestern and McNeese.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the final score of the game, really. It's kind of about the meat and potatoes inside the game. Can you just relate that back to your next matchup on Thursday against Houston Baptist, a chance to see them down here in Thibodeau?
Yeah, when we went to Houston Baptist, it was kind of a strange game. We were 15, 20 minutes. We were battling them. We had more shots than they had in the first 20 minutes of the game. We were kind of having some good possession and some runs. And then all of a sudden, because it was just very warm outside, players were starting to kind of feel the heat and the intensity. And we had to sub a few off. And then I had 2 players go down, key players with injuries. And I had a third not long after that go down. So we lost 3 players to injury straight away. And they got on top of us, and they started scoring early and often after that. So it wasn't our proudest moment, but it really kind of helped us change things, because to me, that's where we kind of looked at it and said, okay, we need to change something. And at that point we did. And since then, the last 5 games, because we've had 5 games in between, we've only given up 9 goals in 5 games, which is still a few, but it's not what it is. I mean, it's less than 2 goals a game, which puts you in every game you play.
Right.
So Houston Baptist, I'll credit for having us kind of examine that, look internally to make those changes. So we're looking forward to Thursday and seeing Houston Baptist here, because they will not beat us the way they beat us the first time.
That's great, Coach. That's great to hear that you're making the game plan on taking, kind of what a coach does, taking what fell short last time, turning that around, and making sure the team doesn't beat you again, especially not here in Thibodeau.
Well, and the big thing is the players that kind of, they really believe in what we're doing, and they work hard for each other. And it just makes my job easier, because when I put something out there, they're giving everything they've got to make it work. Yeah. And it's just, you can't get mad at them, because it's not emotional. The game's passionate, but it's not emotional. But they're out there, they're trying. I'm frustrated and disappointed that we're not getting the results we'd like to get. But at the same point, I'm proud of them for how hard they're working and for the improvements and the changes we've made.
Being that y'all have played a whole lot of road games and stuff like that, can you just highlight some of the players that are the top players in your program before it comes to Thursday, and who to look out for? And
wow, I hate doing that. I don't like just singling out one or 2 players, only because I look at it as a team effort. From goalkeeping, Reagan and Val, they challenge each other to be better. And it's fun to our defensive players, from, everybody from Grace and Kyla to Coco and Corey and Layla, and, they all challenge and push each other to be better. So even the players that don't necessarily get on the field consistently, or in some cases maybe they don't get on the field at all in a game, they're all pushing each other and challenging each other, and they're just as important as whatever player's on the field performing. And the same thing with the midfielders and what we've got. We've got a great group of young ladies in the midfield, from Santa to Kelsey to Karina to Janelle to Tabby. They all do an incredible job challenging each other to be better. And even the forwards, and you could easily say, well, you're not scoring goals, but the forwards are doing their job and working hard. From KP to Gabby to Sydney to Esther to Ramey, because I like calling her Whisper, because she's so quiet and she always looks at me and laughs, but great kid. Yeah. To Megan, they all have an equally important role in the team. So I know I probably just went through and mentioned almost the entire team,
you
but
did?
I don't want to single out just one and say that, because they're equally as important. Right. And I can't do my job if they're not putting in their efforts and doing their best. And even the ones behind the scenes, like Kayla, who she's an incredible coach, and she will make an exceptional head coach one day. I think one day soon. And then the most important person is my wife, who's behind me, who makes sure I'm doing what I'm doing, and she's just great support, and I couldn't do it without her.
Right. Well, thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate you coming in today for episode 1 of Inside Athletics. You can catch the game Thursday at Nicholls Soccer Complex at 4 p.m. As the Colonels get ready to take on Houston Baptist again in the Southland Conference. Also, you can catch Southeastern take on Nicholls at Stouffer Gymnasium at 6:30 p.m. As they take on the Lions to try to catch a win in the conference. That'll do it for this episode of Inside Athletics. I'm your host, Brandon Thomas. Joining me is Coach Robert Podeyn. Catch you next time.